Hello everyone and welcome to another tutorial. Today's video is for those people who want to connect SQL Server to Microsoft Excel. Excel allows you to quickly and easily extract and analyze information from SQL Server without going into all the technicalities and writing complex codes and queries. So even a simple business user can enjoy the power of SQL inside MS Excel. And you can also design charts and diagrams and present your information in a visual form without writing a single line of code. So today we will connect to this SQL server from Microsoft Excel, and we will access this database, and we will import all these tables into Microsoft Excel, and we will create a data model, and then we will analyze that information and prepare some reports based on this data. So let's start our video now. First of all, we will go to the data, and in the get data, we will go to the from database menu, and here we will click on the from SQL Server database, and in the server address we can enter the address appearing here. Since the SQL Server is on the same PC, we don't have to use the IP address. Then we can also provide the database, which is optional. This will limit the connection to only the database we will enter here. If you want to use an SQL query, for example, you want to limit the data based on a where command, or you can use any other SQL statement, you can use it here. Otherwise, click on the OK button, and again, based on your credentials, select the either the Windows credentials or database username or password or Microsoft account. Since we are using the same PC, we can use our Windows credentials and click on the connect button. So we are now connected to the SQL server. This is the navigator window. Here you can view the data before you can load it, and you can select tables that you want to load into the Power Query window. So we have to select all of them because we want all tables in our data model. And if you want to transform the data, click on this button, which will take you to the Power Query. Otherwise, click on the load button, and this will load the data into the Microsoft Excel. So we will use this load button. So our data has been loaded now, and we can view our queries and connections here, as you can see. So our next step is to create a data model based on all these tables. So basically we will connect all these tables and create a relational data model. And to do that, we have to go to the data tools, and we will click on the manage data model. This will open this Power Pivot for Excel window, and here you can see the diagram, and inside this diagram view you have all your tables which you can connect to your main table. So let's arrange our tables in one place where we can easily view them all and connect them together. So nowadays most of the applications are smart enough to create the data model for you automatically with relationships, but it did not happen here, although it was quite easy for this application to identify all IDs and connect them together. So we have to do this manually now. So the sales table is our main table, and we will connect all other tables to this table. So first is the product ID. We will connect the product ID like this. Then we have store ID. Then we have the staff ID. Then we have the channel ID and the method ID, customer ID, and that's it. Now some tables are connected to other tables, such as this category is connected to the product and brand. So let's see if any other table has ID fields. So we have these two fields as well. Now we have all tables connected to the main table. So if we need it, we will connect these two later. So for now, we have our entire model right here. It is now complete and we can save it. And then we can go back to the Microsoft Excel. So we will need this window again and again, and you can display this window using this button from queries and connections in the data tab. Let's expand Microsoft Excel to have more clear view. And now we can prepare reports based on this data. Since all tables are linked, we can use field from any table into our report using the pivot table. And now let's create a pivot table report using these tables. So if you want to create a pivot table report using one of these tables, you can simply right click and click on the load to, and you can select a table, pivot table report, pivot chart, or you can create a connection. But since we are going to use the data model, we can go to the insert tab, and from here we can select the data model and click on the OK button. This will create a pivot table report, and all your tables will be available here along with their fields. And since these tables are part of a single data model, they are interconnected. So are their fields. So basically we can choose any field in any table and create a single pivot table report using fields from any of these tables. So we will create various sales reports such as sales by brand or category. But the important thing here is that sales table or any other table does not have the sales field containing actual sales. Sales table contains the quantity sold, and the product table contains the prices, but there are no sales. So first we have to create the actual sales to create various sales reports. So there are many ways we can do this, simplest one being the data model. So let's go to the manage data model, and here in the sales table we will create a new column. Let's call this column sales, and we will use a function which is the related, and through the related function we will use the prices from the product table, and we will multiply these prices to the quantity. and this will give us sales. So now we have the sales in the sales table, which we can use to create the sales reports. Now let's close this Power Pivot window and go back to our pivot tables, and now you can see that the sales table now has a sales column which we can use to create our sales reports. So let's drag this price here and brand here, and now we have sales by brand, and we can edit this to brand and price. So now we have a simple report which shows us sales by brand, and we can also add dates. We can remove quarters and months, and now we have a report of sales by brand which has years. So it is an year-wise sales which shows sales by brand. So you can see how quick it was. If you want to create the same report through SQL, you will have to enter a lot of queries and you have to go through a lot of coding. But in Excel, all you have to do is drag and drop, and you can create reports easily without doing any coding. And by the way, visualizing this data is even more simple. All you have to do is go to the Insert tab and choose a chart of your liking, and the chart will be created. And you can change its display by simply changing the pivot table right here. So if we move brand to column side, our chart will also change like this. And if we change, we move the dates from column side to row side, we will get this chart. So it is very easy to create reports and charts in the Microsoft Excel using the SQL Server data. And you cannot just use this data in Excel without the support of without the power of Microsoft SQL Server, because this data has millions of rows, and if we enter that data into the Microsoft Excel, it will probably never work as smoothly as it is working now. So this is basically the ideal combination for a data scientist or a data analyst. It gives you the power of Microsoft SQL Server and the ease and comfort and the quickness of Microsoft Excel. So we can simply replace brand with the category, and this will change the chart to sales by category. And we can also add product, and this will add products inside the category, making a little bit more complex report but with more detail. And you may remember that earlier in this video I told you that most of the modern applications automatically create relationships between tables, but this did not happen for us when we first created this data model. But now it is detecting relationships and it is asking us to automatically create these relationships we can simply click this auto detect button and it will create the relationships. So it is saying that the relationship detection is done and no new relationships found because we already created relationships manually. So we can close this window and we can close this window as well. And now let's finish up with this report. Let's delete these two rows and change this to products. Let's rename this sheet to sales by product. We can also use filters here. For example, we can use the channel, and now we can select a channel from here. Let's say digital advertisement, and now the sales belonging to digital advertisement will be displayed here. And if we select email, these are the sales related to email. These were the sales made through our website, and these were all sales. So this is a very simple method of filtering information using filters. You can also move this chart to a chart sheet. Simply copy this chart and paste it here. And now you have a full view of your chart and it looks much better, and you can use filters from here. Let's see the sales of Android only. Great. And Apple and all products. And we can also select individual categories. So let's say computers. So this is how you create a pivot chart using a data model based on an SQL Server database. Now you can simply delete this chart and this chart will not be affected by that. So this is a large database and you can create all sorts of reports such as sales by staff. You can also calculate discounts and other stuff. But I guess you get the point that you can create very complex and very informative reports using Microsoft Excel and SQL Server database with few clicks and drags and drops. So let's end our video here. Have a nice weekend. See you in another tutorial.